hoodie and shorts. That's the wacky neighbor.
Nope.
You know, and then Jasmine Crockett, she's that loudmouth lady from down the street, and they're like, oh, here comes Jasmine. Shit's gonna get crazy. You know, and Maxine Waters like, oh, she's old. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. It's like these are fake people. Nancy Pelosi, this giant tittied lady who wants all the money, who's been in politics for 150 years. There's pictures of her with Kennedy.
I didn't realize Nancy Pelosi was well endowed.
Oh boy.
Really?
Yeah.
You've done the research.
Well, there's all these photos where people are calling her, what's a gilf? A grandma you'd like to, yeah. You never seen her boobs?
No, I have never seen Nancy Pelosi's boobs, Joe.
No disrespect, Mrs. Pelosi. I admire her for her stock choices, but
Fantastic.
those are legit.
You know, I
Those
got
are
to say,
hammers.
this is a great start to the podcast, and we aren't even stoned.
How did you not know? How did you not know that you're a grown man? Look at the size of those fucking sweater hammers.
That is
Wow.
incredible. That has made me a lot more in favor of
So
Congress.
So is
right
that?
now.
Hold that. Go to that last
This
picture.
one might not have been, okay,
That
we
seems
don't-
fake, but it might be like from the Clinton administration. See, these deep state vampires.
I really
that-
thought you were going to go somewhere else. When you said deep, I went, this is going somewhere. I didn't expect that.
These deep state vampires, as hot as Nancy Pelosi used to be. Deep state vampire, no disrespect,
Gentlemen.
Nancy Pelosi. They've been around in the system forever. Like
We're
the
gonna try to buy a
relationships that
house
those people
today
make,
so we
the
can,
control that they establish,
have
and the
a nice
Rolodex,
big
and I got shit on Lindsay, and Lindsay's got shit on this guy, and it's like, Jesus.
It's a fucking dirty business, man. Oh, it's crazy.
Bro, it's the dirtiest. It's the dirtiest business. It's the dirtiest business in the world.
More space.
You know what I think now that when I look at politics, and you look at wrestling, and I remember criticizing
into harder
like people
drugs.
who watch soap operas. I remember and just going, "Oh, they're so dumb." And I remember my ex going to me. She went, "Francis, you like soccer? That's just soap opera, but for men." And when you think about it, it kind of is. We just buy into our different soap operas.
Except soccer's happening for real, and the soap opera is just a dumb pretend of a goofy life that's not real.
Yeah, but politics is kind of soap opera for like
bud.
adults.
Yeah, sure. I think it's team.
Oh no!
For people that don't like sports, it becomes
I'm
like a
bugging.
giant part of their. It's like a guy with a Cubs hat. You know, I'm
Dang.
fucking Chicago Cubs till I die. Till I die, bro. Chicago
um,
Cubs. One day we're gonna pull it
I
up.
didn't serve
Like
them.
people in Chicago, they fucking
Dang.
you'll fight you in Philadelphia if you don't like the Eagles. They will fight
There you
you.
go.
Like
Here
if
we
you
go.
go to a Philadelphia
Let's
Eagles
lock
game
in.
and you're from another team, they will beat your fucking ass, and it
Let's lock
happens all the time. And that's crazy. You're both Americans. Like this is the dumbest thing of all time. Like one's from a different city, so they're your enemy because they support a different football team. We do it with everything.
I know you find that
3-5,
shocking, Joe, but in England and
it's
Britain, that is like
13.
run of the mill. So in the 70s and 80s, each football team, and to some extent now, they had their own what's called a
Oh,
firm.
I have my whip too.
Which are these
I forgot.
hooligans
That's-
whose
yeah.
only thing, they didn't really give a shit about the football, the soccer. They would get together with the supporters of the firms of other teams to have fights in the
yeah,
car
for
park
you, baby.
outside the stadium.
Of course, I got.
And they
this
would
stuff.
travel all around the country doing that.
Five? Yeah.
So it's actually it's one thing I love about American sports. Like you can go to the game with your kids and not worry about the stuff that people are going to be screaming and shouting
Yeah.
and all that violence. You are a lot more chilled
Now,
out than we are in
I'm
Europe
a
about that stuff,
man.
believe it or not.
Oh, I do
just
believe
park
it. I do believe
haphazardly.
it. But any like group like that, like soccer, traveling group, you're gonna attract some fucking psychos that hop along. It's like when the Grateful Dead go on tour. Like I bet they're not specifically
Kim.
asking
Busy
cult
man.
members to recruit with acid in the parking lot. But for sure, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
For sure. If you're like a psycho cult leader and you want to pick up some people, you're going to go to a place where everyone's on acid. You're going to go to a
Yeah.
Fish concert and explain to them, you know, you guys, I know you're in between apartments right now. We have an amazing community and everyone's accepted. And next thing you know, you're in a cult.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're doing acid with this fucking weirdo and, you know, he's in the lotus position and you're all pretending that this is normal.
But you know what's really interesting
Wait, where's
about
the other
soccer
person?
is that
Oh,
hooligan
fine,
element,
sorry.
that's not just in the UK, that's right the way through Europe and in South
Really?
America.
It's New Zealand too, right? Don't
Yeah.
they duke it out in New Zealand?
No,
With-
it's
with
not in New
rugby
Zealand.
teams?
Yeah, rugby's kind of different because football with the hooligan element. So in Italian soccer, for example, they have what the hooligans are called the ultras. And they're so powerful that if the team is playing badly, then what the captain has to do he then gets, in some instances, the ultras have blockaded the stadium, refused that the players leave,
money,
and
baby.
the captain is then demanded to go and have a meeting with the head ultra.
Oh my God.
$0.
The kind of pressure while you're playing a world-class
Better make
soccer
some money,
match.
Benj.
Yeah, so then this kid, and let's be fair, he's a
know
kid
what
in his
you're
mid
doing.
to late 20s probably, then has to go out and have a meeting with this 40-year-old tattooed psycho, and then
my God.
explain to him exactly why the team is underperforming.
Wow.
That's basically
no.
what professional sports
too
is,
cheap.
especially soccer. It's
You
like
get
you're
170.
trying to do your best in front of 50,000 people who are all screaming that you're a cunt. You know? That's basically it.
Yeah.
In that sense, fighting is more pure because
Oh, yeah.
people don't really get upset at a fighter for losing. You really more like celebrate the other guy for winning.
Yeah.
You know, it's very rare the fighter gets demolished for losing. Like they would have to lose in a specific way.
Let's
Like
get-
they'd have
let's
to
get back
quit
in the
somehow.
whip.
But there's none of that in the UFC. It's like because to get at that level, you can't have any of that in you. By the time you get to the big show, like those
go to
guys
the
are
casino.
tried and proven.
We gotta go to the casino.
They're not.
Pick up our
There's no
jet drop.
cowards in that group.
No.
You know, so
We
they
have to
don't
go to
get
the
that
real
same
estate.
kind of criticism that athletes have, which
Oh,
is
shit,
one of
sorry.
the because it's like literally your life's on the line. Like it's a different thing you're doing than just a sport, which is why the regular kind of journalism doesn't work in MMA.
It's fun.
Like sports journalism
Dead
in
drop is. I
the
haven't
United
seen
States,
this
at
dead
least,
drop yet.
is like super insulty. Like everybody's, he's a
Right.
bum, he's lazy, he doesn't do the work in the off season, and we're seeing it now.
What's up, Karen?
He's a fucking loser. Like that's what they like to do that.
Same in the UK, man.
Bro,
Yeah.
you do that about fighters, and they'll find you. All right, they'll fucking smack you in your face. Like this is their soul. They're bearing in front of the world, and for you, some fat guy chewing Adderall and typing into a MacBook Air, fuck you. That guy will smack you in your fucking head. He's a terrifying human being trying his best, and you have to describe it that way because it's a different thing than someone who doesn't hit free throws. It's a different thing.
Did you ever hear the story? I think it was a guy called Curtis. I think it was Curtis Woodhouse. It was someone like that. So it may not have been Curtis, but it was someone of that ilk. Wasn't a heavy. Well, he was a middleweight champion, but he wasn't European or world. But he was a British middleweight champion, which is still a huge
Still,
achievement.
yeah, isn't it?
Huge achievement. Anyway, so this kid was trolling him. This happened about 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. And this kid was trolling him online and saying all this horrendous stuff. And the guy just responded. He went, right, I've had enough now and I'm coming to find you. And the kid was just like, yeah, you're going to come and find me. And he goes, bro, I know you live in Birmingham. And the kid's like, yeah, but Birmingham's a big place. He went, no, I know people and we will get your address. And then so he then started posting photos on his Twitter going, driving to Birmingham to see you. And then he went, and then he took a photo of the sign of his town and went, I'm coming to see you. And then he took a photo at the bottom of his road and he went, you best come out because we're going to be talking. And the kid just went, and just apologized. And he went, that's cool, bro. And he just went, knocked on his door and had a conversation with him.
Jesus.
And he was just like, look. And
What was the kid? What did he look like?
it was just like this little fat kid.
But we're giving people the power and the
gonna do a bungalow?
tools that they don't deserve. And I don't say that they
Fine,
don't deserve
yeah.
it as human
Fine, let's
beings.
do the
I mean,
bungalow.
you're not capable of handling this kind
Nice.
of responsibility.
bungalow.
To be able to
There's a
reach out
fine
to a
where it
middleweight
is.
champion and call him a pussy.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy thing to do. And if you're like 15 years old and you have this ability, you shouldn't have a license to do that yet. It's almost like a driver's
where's my
license.
bungalow?
Maybe you should have an internet license.
Yeah.
No, Billy, you can't post another picture of your dick. You fucking psycho. You know, like you
Oh,
can't
that's a great.
you can't
that's a great
just
position.
put up
All right,
permanently
Let me go.
things that could ruin your
Grab
entire
some
life when you're
bugs.
15. Maybe there should be that. Maybe it should be like all kids' internet until they're 21. Everything they post it disappears in 15 seconds, and you can't take a screenshot of it. You know, like
Yeah.
let them be kids.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them be kids. Don't like people are getting fired for fucking posts they made when they were in high school, where someone digs up some old Facebook post they made joking around when they were in high school.
Yeah, well, we interviewed someone. Have you seen Adolescence? This thing
Going
that's
back to
doing.
the crib,
It's supposed to
grab
be
some
the most watched thing on
granddaddy
Netflix.
perp.
It's on course.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So it's about. Spoiler alert. So if you don't want to just tune out, but it's basically about a 13-year-old kid who is getting bullied by a girl at school. She calls him an incel or whatever, and he goes and stabs her and kills her, and it's crazy. And it's all about that. And we had this guy, an incel expert, on to talk about it. A guy who was actually in Austin here.
Wait a minute, he's an incel expert?
Yeah.
Not practicing.
I understand.
That's why he came to see us,
Just
Joe.
Imagine that's your field of choice.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? I
8,
want to find out what's going on.
5.
He researches insults. He actually works with David Buss. So you've had him on the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We wanted to have
Right?
him on. Yeah, David Buss, evolutionary psychologist.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
You have
did.
had him on.
Because I listened to the episode, Joe.
This
You,
is how confusing it is to have 2,500
yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what?
yeah.
David
Sometimes
Buss.
I hear about a guy, I'm like, wow, that guy's interesting. And then I Google him, like, fuck. Talk to that dude. Talk to that dude 7 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
My brain's mush right now.
Yeah.
Let me see a photo of Mr. Buss.
Yeah, you've had.
He's one of the greatest evolutionary psychologists in the world, I
There
think.
we go. Bang.
One of the pioneers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, let's
That guy
go.
was fascinating.
Right.
He's friends with Jordan. I went to dinner with him and Jordan
Uh-huh.
one night.
Let me
Yeah.
grab the
Jordan
stuff
Peterson.
out of
And,
the
yeah,
little room.
it's fascinating. And, it was also like super problematic because he highlights the differences between male psychology and female psychology. And people want to deny that that's a thing. And so, like, okay, with respect to trans people.
Oh, my vehicle can have
use
stuff in
whatever
it,
pronoun
too?
you like, change your name. But
Yo.
are we allowed to talk about the inherent differences between
That's
males
banging.
and females that we've observed? Or are we supposed to ignore like data and statistics?
I mean, it makes
reality?
sense.
And,
What are we
and our
supposed to do?
fucking eyes, man.
Oh,
That's
And it's
the
also
other
like
thing.
this is his field of study his whole life. Imagine your field of study all of a sudden becomes problematic.
Right.
Like, let's not look into that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to wrap my mind around the idea of quantum computing. It's exciting, but complex and difficult to understand. What I do know is that quantum
There you go,
computers
you
can
don't look
process
like you need
exponentially
anything,
more
but
data
finally.
than the ones you
Well,
and
I'm
I
early,
use
bro.
every day. Quantum computers also put a new
You're a
strain
fiend, bro.
on the world of
Wait till
digital
I come out with
privacy
that
and
clap,
cybersecurity.
that clap.
They may one day crack encryption
You're gonna be a
algorithms
fiend
that
for
we
real.
currently consider secure. That's why ExpressVPN upgraded their encryption to use MLKEM, the strongest available
Get in this
protection
van.
from post-quantum threats. With ExpressVPN, all your online activity is rerouted through secure, encrypted servers. Even though all your data is still being handled by your internet provider or whoever the provider is for the random public Wi-Fi network you're on, none of these third parties will be able to read your data or hijack your connection for malicious intent. And with post-quantum
House of
protection,
gun.
ExpressVPN is essentially future-proofing your privacy.
Got 3 babies,
Just
keep it
one
going.
of many reasons why ExpressVPN is the absolute best VPN out there. So if you want to get the highest standards of post-quantum protection from your VPN service, tap the banner or go to expressvpn.com/Rogan. And now listeners can get 4 extra months for free. That's expressvpn.com/Rogan. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can get your 4 free months by scanning the QR code on screen or by clicking the link in the description. Water's racist. Like, so you're giving in to the dumbest notions. And it's happening at scale. And it seems like there's like 2 factions in what I would call like the American left right now. There's the reasonable people that are like, hey, we got to just stop being fucking crazy. Like the Bill Maher's and a lot of other folks like that. They're like, we got to stop being crazy and just appeal to like rational people. Don't go all the way over there. Stick where most people are. And then there's people that, well, we got to go further left. Then there's people like, we got to take over Tesla dealerships. We got to light cars on fire. The left is like justifying spraying Nazi swastikas on cars. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
They've gone so far over this. So there's
So this is
one
I was gonna make
side
another
that's
grow
just
room
like
in here, but
radicalized
I
in
can't
the
for
worst
some
way
reason.
possible. That's a huge detriment to the Democratic Party because it makes everyone look like a psycho. If you have a psycho in your groups, like if you have like a white nationalist, Christian fundamentalist burning down black churches and he says, I'm a part of the right, as a right-wing conservative American. Like, whoa, that guy poisoned the right. These people are poisoning the left.
Totally.
All the people that don't want trans kids competing with their kids in school, and they don't want gender ideology being taught in class, all those people who are just rational, normal liberals that have voted Democrat their whole life. They're like, what the fuck?
It is raining.
What are you
crazy
doing? Why
here.
are
I
you
can
letting
hear it through my
guys into the women's room? This is crazy. A guy with a beard and a dress is in the women's room. This is bananas. Like, what are you doing in the name of compassion? Like, this is fucking insane. That they have to figure that puzzle out, because right now they lost to Trump, and they're in this scattered thing where they're trying to shit on everything he does, hide all the good stuff. You didn't hear a peep about Elon rescuing those people. That should have been on all of the news stories all day long. We should have had a live stream of it. It should have been a huge national event. We're finally going to rescue the astronauts who are trapped in the space station for 8 fucking months. And this super genius, this Elon Musk character, is the guy who figured out how to go get them. His company went and rescued them, because we can't do it anymore. We couldn't rescue them. We had to rely on his company. And you don't hear shit about it. You don't hear shit about it. It's crazy. You hear a few stories, they're having a hard time coming back, but why weren't they live streaming the whole thing? That's a huge moment.
Yeah.
You're recovering these poor people. Like, this is a giant special interest story that would grab so many headlines, and it would have so much ratings, because everybody wants to see it. Oh my God, they're going to get the astronauts. You'd be sitting on your couch with your family. Are they going to get them? Is it going to dock? Is it going to work?
Yeah.
You know, all that shit.
But
Well, the hope is, man, the reality is the best teacher, right? So the Democrat brand is so destroyed now, so toxic, that they're going to have to work something out, because if not, they're just going to keep losing.
They're going to go with Bernie and AOC. And that's why they've been astroturfing all these giant arenas for people. They're claiming they did an analysis of, find out if this is true, because I read this on X, and sometimes the community notes doesn't get there in time. But they were saying that they claimed there was 30,000 people, but they got all the cell phone data, and they found out there was 24,000 cell phones. So they fudged it a little bit. That sounds normal. But they also said that a huge number of these people had been to 20-plus events and a lot of other different, like, progressive events. And it seems like, at least on some of them,
Relax,
for sure,
buddy.
they were
I'm
paying.
moving.
So they're giving people money to get on a bus, go to this place, here's your sign, go have fun. And so you're doing something different, right? You're pretending that these people are all coming out to see you. But they're coming out to see you because you're giving them money and free food.
Right.
And, you know, you're handing out water bottles, and everybody gets a sign, and everybody seems like they're kind of a part of a team. And for a lot of losers, a lot of people that don't have things going well in their life, and like, what do we, I was a loser at many points in my life. If somebody called me up and said, hey man, you want to make $400? You just go to this Kamala Harris rally. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I would 100% go. I would 100% go with no political, and then I'd probably think she's cool. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking voting for her, dude. He's Hitler. That guy, we gotta stop Hitler. And I'd be holding up that stupid sign. If you found me when I was 21, 100% I would have taken that $400.
yeah.
They were giving out $1,000 for people to protest. I think it was Tesla. I'm not sure about that, but I think it was Tesla. So they had like the rules of engagement. If someone comes after you, hit them in the body, don't pick up an object unless they pick up an object first. Like, are you organizing gangs?
No.
Like, are you guys paying money for people and then literally saying to them, here's what happens if you engage in violence? Like, why is that even on the table? I thought you guys were peacefully protesting. Like, who's going to get how many pro-Tesla fucking hooligans are out there that have beaten people up for Tesla? Is it fucking zero? I have not seen a bunch of pro-Tesla gang members out there. So what are you going to encounter with this anti-Tesla movement? The police? Like, who's going to stop you from who's going to engage with you? Like, you're kind of talking in a way that at least puts it on the table that violence might take place. And you're paying people.
Yeah.
And they, because they destroyed language, now it sort of
I gotta get a
logically
gun.
makes sense, right? If these
I gotta
people are
get a gun so
Nazis.
these cops don't catch
If you
me.
actually thought they were Nazis,
Right.
like if you actually thought Nazis had taken over your country, you'd pick up a gun,
You
right?
shouldn't need $1,000 and free lunch. $1,000
where's
and
my
free
van?
lunch is crazy.
You need
Yeah.
to smooth things over,
Yeah,
make it
you
easier.
need to subsidize your movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would have a hard. I would have a hard time doing.
Oh,
$1,000
nah, we're not
work.
playing this.
I'd be like, bro, we're going to jail. I'd be like, I'm not that stupid. I'll hold the sign. I'll go to the rally. But if I was 21, they said, look, $1,000. You want to protest against
Listen.
Tesla? I'd be like,
I don't care what y'all call me.
What happens if we get
I don't
arrested?
care what y'all call
this
me.
guy's rich.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not doing
he's not
it.
gonna let you light his fucking cars on fire.
Got the
stupid.
wrong one.
He's the richest man on earth. Like, what are you talking
not me.
about?
Yeah,
Gonna
but
be me.
you are someone who's got a family, you're well adjusted. Like if you look at
And even
some,
when I was young, I had survival instincts.
yeah,
I
well,
had-
this is what I'm saying. A lot of these people, when you look at their mugshot, I don't want to be unkind, but they don't look particularly well. A lot of them.
That's 100% true. And I think we need to have a lot of compassion for young people that get caught up in these movements and do silly things. And they even vandalism. They just need to understand that should never be on the table. No violent acts are ever justified, especially if not someone's not being violent to you. If you decide to just go smash property and light things on fire, you don't serve your cause, because rational, reasonable people are not going to do that. They're not
So
going to
to
light
her-
Starbucks on fire because Black Lives Matter. That's crazy. But if you get caught up in this, fuck the corporate thing, man, fuck the banks, and fuck this, and you just want to start lighting things on fire, you're just serving them, because they will develop
Yeah,
better
who
and
cares,
stronger
Kim?
ways to crack down on protests now. And all the people that wanted to protest reasonably, all the people that wanted to express themselves and say, we stand together to say that this is wrong, those people are all going to get hosed.
Yeah.
Because you lit Starbucks on fire, you fucking idiot.
It's
Like that's, but they're young. A lot of these people, they have fucking blue hair. They probably had a shitty childhood. They're running around like experiencing freedom for like the first time in their life for the last 16 months, right? This is their first freedom out of their parents' house. And they get caught up in shit, just like people get caught up in being in cults. You know, people get caught up in all kinds of things.
All right,
So
after
we
this,
just have
I'm
to have
gonna
more
save.
compassion for people and
and
better
then-
mentorship. One of the real problems is that kids go to universities and almost universally they're given this ideology that this whole
Get my
university
dick
and almost
dropped
every
later.
university ascribes to.
'Cause I don't
And
need
it's
it right
it's
now.
like universal. It's uniform. It's like there's less
First,
liberal
we're gonna
ones,
go
but they're almost all
save
liberal.
it right
It's like
here.
almost all higher learning.
get
There's only a
my-
few conservative
Then
universities.
we're gonna get my.
It's just a weird time for thinking and for discourse and for deciding what team you're on. It's like everyone's
gonna get
scared
that
and
van.
scrambling. You know, do we go red or blue? And it's just the whole country's in this like weird state of disarray.
And it's very tribal, and you see it now as well. You know, now that the right is in political
Game
power,
saved. Let's
a lot of the people who kind of made their bones challenging the excesses of the left, they're afraid to say anything about the right as well, even though there's things to say. Like, I don't know if you followed the Signal group thing.
Yeah, I did. I don't know enough about it, but
70.
it does seem like there's people that suspected it was a setup. That guy was added to the
Thanks.
chat on purpose.
Well, I think
Is that true?
I don't think so. I think the guy who added him has basically said, like, it was our mistake. And the
So
White
it's
House,
just a mistake.
I don't think the investigation has been done to say definitively, but I think the White House said we're looking into this. But Tulsi, I think, said it was a mistake. I think Mike Waltz said it was a mistake.
Such a crazy mistake.
Yeah.
That's such a checks and balances mistake. Like double check.
Yes.
It's like, you know, when you go on the road, like,
Yeah.
do I have my toothbrush?
Yeah.
Do I have my underwear? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I even make a note on my phone now. I'm like, I'm too stupid. I always forget something. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck,
Yeah.
my this.
You know, it's kind of like adding your ex-girlfriend to the boys' WhatsApp group.
Some of the memes have been incredible.
That's exactly what it's like. Dude, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it's like. That's such a perfect analogy. Like, you fucking idiot. They're all on the phone afterwards. What the fuck, bro? Like, you know, Pete Hegseth swears.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, what the fuck, bro?
You know she's gonna talk.
Well, how about the fact that they said that they didn't share any information about weapons or like what was the exact quotes? What did they say? So what they were basically doing was explaining how some shit was going to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Was it in Yemen?
they were debating how to do the strikes, whether to do them. There was some debate about that initially. And then initially this journalist, I think he's editor-in-chief of the Atlantic, I think. He
He is like the worst guy to get this information
well,
to.
absolutely,
He
right?
was probably jerking off the whole time, salivating, like, yes!
Yeah. If you
Rock
had to
hard.
pick somebody, that is not who you pick, right?
He
But
must
you know,
be so pumped.
we had an investigative journalist on the show, and we haven't released the episode yet, but as part of our after the show questions, he mentioned something which is, he said, I'm going from memory here, so Francis, correct me, but basically that Signal had been installed on government devices under the previous administration. So it may be the case that that guy's number had been pre-installed during that time. And because of that, the mistake was then made to add him to the group. So we don't know exactly what happened, but at the same time, what I'm saying is, like, the White House admitted it, and then they started having a go at the journalist. Like, that is not his fucking fault that you added him to the group, right? Do you know what I mean?
Not at all. What's he supposed to do? Tell you, hey guys, I've done that before. Hey guys, I think you sent this text to the wrong dude.
Yeah. A journalist is never going to do that, and that's not his job to do that either.
No.
You
No,
know,
listen, that's one of those things that just happens accidentally.
Yeah.
But you can't have that happen when you're fucking planning bombs.
Agreed.
When you're planning war.
Agreed.
This is, first of all, it's so crazy that the government doesn't have its own completely safe app.
They do.
What is it?
I think it's called a skiff or something like that. It's a special place where you go.
No, but that's a room. I mean an app.
Oh,
I
you mean an app? All right.
Why did they not have some encrypted super government app? You telling me that you couldn't get like a license from Signal to use the code? The government throws them. They like all these billions that are they're finding billions all over. There's like billions they've cut. Like how many fucking billions has Elon cut just from waste?
A
Just
trillion,
waste.
he says.
Yeah.
It's
Well-
crazy, and people aren't celebrating it. It's
Well-
weird.
Well, put it this way, Joe. Until relatively recently, if not still, we use faxes in UK government.
Wow, that's crazy.
A lot of.
I think we got you one better. I think when people retire from what is it where they have to retire, where they have to write it down on paper and then it's stored in a vault.
in a mine. It's stored in a mine.
Yeah.
Social Security,
It's
Yeah.
on paper.
it's in a mine.
I love that press conference as well because it's like Brett Baer from Fox interviewing Elon and like 7 other ASPI guys, and they're all just rattling off numbers. It's 10,000 filing cabinets, 400,000 paper documents. But when you look at it, it basically hasn't changed since the 1950s.
Yeah. I'm distracted by Brett Baer's hair. It's so beautiful. If I had that kind of hair, I would be so happy.
best
So
hair.
happy with myself. You can't see any scalp anywhere. It's just
Yeah.
all hair. It's beautiful. It's like if you wanted to like put a wig on a bald guy, like you would make it like that. Like, bro, I'm gonna make you hot.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom has got incredible hair. Terrible policies, but amazing hair.
The government stores key retirement paperwork in a converted mine.
But you know
That's
what's
crazy. The limestone mine is real and in the Department of Government Efficiency's crosshairs. That is so insane. So now someone has to go in there and take all that stuff that's on paper in the mine and put it in a computer.
They're saying they're going to do it in 2 months. Digitize that in 2
Adderall
months.
is great. It's great. I'm so happy someone invented it. That's, I mean,
Low-level autism plus Adderall.
yeah,
Problem solved.
I'm not accusing anyone of anything.
yeah.
I just want to say. Shout out to whoever made Adderall. Things get done.
Yeah.
They do things get done, but this is kind of the greatest pushback against like high-level conspiracy theories. You know, when people go, bro, they control everything. You're like, dude, they have a mind where they store stuff. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's
Go
it's
buy my
like
bungalow.
The perfect. Everybody thinks that everything is a giant plot, and some of it is just sheer incompetence and just years and years and years of monotony. You know, where it just like the same stupid life over and over again, no oversight, rampant corruption everywhere. All the lobbyists are rich as fuck. I mean, look at this file line. Look at this. This is all the data.
Well, bro, this is you make such a good
Bungalow.
point about nobody giving them credit. I don't know if you've ever had access to other people's money, like in any way, right? Taxpayer money or anything. But I can tell you, Francis and I, we even spent trigonometry, which is our business. money differently to the way that we spend our own, because it's slightly different. It's not entirely yours in a way, you know. So when you're dealing with billions of taxpayer dollars, of course it's getting wasted. Of course it's going to corrupt shit.
Of course.
It's inevitable.
What are you, a child? If no one's watching them, duh.
Right.
Fucking duh. It's what all people do.
And the question is, what I don't understand is, look, I think it's very possible that when you move quickly, you're going to cancel some things that you might not want to cancel. Things are not going to go perfectly every time, whatever. But ultimately, the question all Western countries have to answer is, we're running debt at more than 100% of GDP, right? What are we going to do about that? We have to deal with it somehow.
We should.
You're actually, bro, you're worse than we are.
Really?
Yeah, you're 126%, we're about 110.
God damn, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why you're trying to deal with it. That's what Elon is trying to do. He's trying to cut the deficit in half, and then the idea is you grow the economy and you actually get back to surplus.
When he keeps finding all of these companies that are getting like $1 billion here and $2 billion there, and all, like the Stacey Abrams one where they're going to give energy efficient appliances to poor people.
Yeah.
$2 billion.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do? Like, what did you do? Like, there's a bunch of those. Like, what did you do? Like the high-speed internet one.
Yeah.
What did you do? How come you got billions of dollars and fucking nothing happened? Imagine if you were a private company and you had a segment. Like, imagine we were all a company. And we're like, Francis, I think you should be in charge of figuring out how to do this with the phone.
I'd be like, we've already fucked you.
Yeah, trust me,
I'm
I run a
giving
business
you-
with this guy. That's a bad
I'm
idea.
giving you $4 billion to get this done.
Yeah.
And then I never talk to you again. I never check in. I don't go, hey, where's the fucking money being spent? What are you doing, man? How come the phone can't do this yet? I don't ask for any progress reports. You just keep getting money.
Fiend, baby.
This is bananas.
It's
like-
crazy.
and
You're a
for
fiend,
anybody who
baby.
doesn't want that to be more efficient, like, what are you working for? If you're paying taxes, what are you working for? You're part of your day is the running of this government. You're happy that it's being run like this? You're happy that billions are going to places that no one can you have no receipts? You don't know where it got spent? You have no idea? And that's legal?
Yeah.
When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen. Bet the
plus
unexpected,
22 for
every
Brooklyn
upset,
Raiders.
every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time? Here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code ROGAN. That's code ROGAN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings.
Peter,
The
always-
crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call
Never shows
1-800-GAMBLER.
up to
In
this
New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text
Pisses
HOPE
me
NY
off.
467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus
always
bets
does
expire
this.
168
It's always
hours after
this spot.
issuance.
He
For
never
additional
shows
terms
up
and
to this
responsible
spot.
gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Yeah,
annoying,
it's
just
sort of
wasting
like,
my
but
time.
I kind of think about it like this. It's sort of the equivalent. You know those direct debits that come
Yeah,
out of
get
your
some
account?
Yeah.
And you just like,
Right. You're like, what is that?
what's that?
What did I
Like,
sign up for?
Oh, 2 trillion, no, that's fine.
I canceled that gym membership. What the fuck?
Yeah, and it keeps coming out. You're like, you know what? I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
That's kind of, we've just got too many direct debits and they're going all over the place.
Well, it's that, but then there's the fear that they're putting out there, which is the just fear that they're going to fuck up Social Security and they're going to fuck up Medicaid, and there's people that are relying on that, and they're going to lose their service for they did no wrong. Now, I don't know what the story is with that. Like, I know there's people that have complained that the Social Security website has been down. It's been down a couple times, but I don't know if people are not getting their benefits. Do we know? Can we find that out?
I haven't heard that, Joe, but
Jamie, do some research.
I think it is inevitable that when you
But
do
that's what
things this
everyone's
quickly.
afraid. Right,
Yeah.
but that's what everyone's afraid of, that
Yeah.
the vulnerable people, the people that we should be protecting with these social programs that we all agree to,
Mm.
those are the people we have to protect the most. We have to make sure that there's no disruptions. You've got to make sure before you do anything, there's no disruptions. You know, before you shoot the bad guy, make sure he's not holding a baby.
Yeah.
You can't interrupt. Like, when people are on Social Security, man, they're fucking. If they're, that's not a lot of money, right? And so they don't have any money in the bank probably. They probably have it all budgeted out to get on that check, and they're probably real frugal with their food choices, and that's a rough life, man. And if you cut that off for 30 days, 90 days for people,
Relax.
okay, never missed a benefit payment. U.S. Social
trying to get in
Security
my
Administration
bundle.
has never missed a
Jeez
benefit
Louise.
payment. Now, the continuity of monthly checks for millions of Americans could be at risk following changes under the Trump administration.
we got
Former
rooms
Commissioner
on rooms,
Martin O'Malley
baby.
says. So it's saying, okay, so the key point is it's saying before
What else we got
this,
here? That's
they've
it. There's
never
just one
missed a
bedroom,
benefit
and
payment.
then
But it's also not
biggest
saying they are
kitchen
missing them
stuff?
now. It's saying it could be at risk.
Yeah.
Okay, it just
So,
says
all right,
threaten
so
interruption of
for
benefits,
now,
which is, look,
let's
what I would say if I was a
throw
Democrat. If I wanted to make it look
Sure.
bad, I would say they're threatening your benefits, and then people go into a hot panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, like, I remember when I was teaching, and I was teaching in schools that were super deprived, schools where the kids, a lot of them would come to school, they didn't have food in their bellies, etc., etc. And there's a agency in the UK called CAMS, which is Child and Mental Health Services. And I remember that we had so many kids who had problems, psychological problems, particularly if you grow up poor, deprived. You know, you'd seen horrible stuff when you were a kid. You had, maybe like a brother who got involved in gangs is now in prison, a father who was never there. There was so many kids who had this need, and they had conditions which were undiagnosed, whether it's something like dyslexia or like your brother was murdered, you had some form of PTSD. And you had this, this agency which brought counselors in, which brought psychologists in and psychiatrists who were experts at dealing with kids. And I just remember, because of austerity, this agency got cut after cut after cut after cut. And you're looking at it and you're going, like, I understand we need to cut. I understand we're running at a deficit. But there needs to be balance as well, because when you're looking at those type of agencies, they're really important. They're really important. And also, if you invest that money and you're able to support those kids, they're far more likely when they leave school to be a healthy, happier member of society that's going to contribute tax pounds sterling or tax dollars.
Do you think it's a reasonable request to have something that does that? Something that helps feed poor kids, helps educate people, genuinely helps communities all around the world, completely separate from all the other stuff that agency does. Because USAID was a huge
weed, and I need
gigantic
more
organization of a bunch of different entities, right?
Yeah,
Which did some
you
good
never
stuff.
showed us.
Yeah.
And a lot of crazy
A
shit.
lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But if I was someone who was, nefariously running things, I would definitely mix up my regime change operation with giving food to poor people. So look, we're doing great stuff. Look at all the great stuff we're doing. Here's what we're highlighting.
Well, you don't like
for this
feeding
month.
poor kids?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and no one even knew that they had this enormous budget that was what is it bigger than the Pentagon's? Was USAID's budget bigger than the Pentagon's?
Please,
No.
like it.
What is?
0.6%.
Yeah, let's go.
What was USAID's budget?
Yeah, it's like 0.6% of the.
No, I know, but what was the numbers? Because it was bigger than something, like the amount of money that USAID
So we
pays.
need
21.7
11, 14, 17, 21, 20.
Overall federal budget.
6 point what trillion? That's so crazy. So you just think that
bank,
money.
24
How much of
right
that money is fraud and waste?
Oh, me.
Yeah.
How much of that money
Bag
is
up this.
really good? How much of that money, that should be separate from, at the very least,
up.
someone needs to go in and audit and go, hey,
Bed.
Well's good. Giving these people arms because you want them to overthrow that government, that's probably not so good.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is good.
Or maybe it is good.
Maybe
That's
it is
right.
good. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like you talk to guys like Mike Baker, who is very kind of stoic about all this.
6,000
It's
for a
like,
bungalow is
you
not bad.
Yeah, you have no choice. Like you need to get these people on your side in certain parts of the world, and this is just how it works. And, and if you don't do that, then China does or Russia does, and it gets even worse for you.
Yeah, because that's also the thing we don't get.
Okay, this Nigerian journalist. Poor Nigerians are so industrious. They still run some of the best fucking scams.
Oh, the
Shout
best
out to
scams.
Nigerian scammers. Nigerian journalist falsely claims USAID budget larger than CIA, State Department combined.
That's
So
a,
he falsely claimed it.
that's a big lesson. And if you're gonna lie, make it believable. You know what I mean? Don't go too big.
Isn't it crazy that as much money as they got? What was it? How much billion?
21.
21 billion. Still, it's a pittance.
It is.
That's a pittance compared to the other things.
You boys have a lot of money, Joe.
Isn't that nuts? And we just keep making it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
Just keep-
what?
Do you know what's bigger than
Yeah.
your defense budget? Your interest debt on the interest.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
We'll
are the
figure that
same.
out. Yeah,
We're
we're
the
like
same.
a crackhead with a unlimited bank account.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And this is a difficulty about it because we've got the same problem in European countries as well. It's like you're not only going to deal with this by dealing with fraud and waste. We're actually going to have to not do some shit that we really want to do because we have been spending like crazy everywhere. And when we, like in the UK, when I look at those, I think we need that in the UK, 100%. And some of it is going to have to, it might overreach, then you pull it back. You got to make sure it's done properly. But we're not going to get away from this, man. We have been living beyond our means for decades now.
Well, you can't have no oversight of government spending. I think we're learning that. I think you have to.
That's fucking controversial, mate. You're a
It's
Nazi.
so
It's curfew
crazy to
time,
say
these
that
cops
that's
are on us.
controversial, but it is controversial to
because it's
say.
2
I would
hours.
be saying it no matter who the fuck is
So
in
wait.
charge.
That's right.
It's just as
So
human
curfew's-
beings, you
curfew's
can't
about to be
let
over.
people have that much control
5
over
a.m.
your money because they'll
Let's
just
go.
decide they need more. And what do they always want to do? Always. They want to raise taxes on the rich. What they never want to do is slash inefficiency and waste
Yeah.
because that's what pays them. That's their fucking system. They're locked into this system. They're the last people who should be commenting on it because it's literally what pays you. Like, I can't trust you. Like, you need more taxes? Is that what
Beautiful,
you need?
beautiful, beautiful.
You're like, Dad, it's like a
don't have
cokehead
a
kid
bed in
of,
here.
that's
I
a
don't
kid
know
of a
why.
billionaire. Dad, I need more fucking money. These fucking
alright.
business assholes
This is
are trying to fuck me, and I'm gonna buy them out now. Like, okay, son,
What a
here,
grower.
we cut your check. Get the fuck out of here. That's what we're like. We're insane.
And
We're
then
completely
they can get the
insane.
Soil off and the
It's
seeds
also
off
as
here,
well,
and then they put
it's because
everything
of our
up to
electoral
here.
system.
Beautiful.
Everybody thinks on the short term.
I need
Nobody
to,
thinks on the
Right,
long term.
right.
And also as well, you're going to like you talk about more taxes, and that's going to piss people off. But it's not going to piss as many people off as if you fire
Save
great
this.
swathes of people, particularly those that may vote for you. Because we know, for instance, with the Dems, that you're more likely to vote for them if you're a bureaucrat, if you work in government and all that.
Head injuries.
Yeah. So, as a result, why are you gonna piss off the people who are more likely to vote for you? It really, on a logical basis, doesn't really make much sense.
But it sounds like we're slagging off the left, and we are, because it's necessary. But I can't wait for the left to recover their sanity, because they're going to be super necessary over time. Because when people get into power, they do a lot of stuff, and then eventually that power is corrupting.
100%.
And you have to hold power accountable, no matter who's got it.
100%. Everybody needs to hear that and shout that from the rooftops. Because if the left stays crazy, then you lose balance, and then the right goes nuttier, and they go full Christian fundamentalist. Like
4 a.m.
they can get kooky. And this is not a knock on Christians. I think true Christianity is wonderful and beautiful.
Agreed.
I think it's a great way to live your life, and I know some incredible Christians.
Some of
But
the
I'm-
best people.
I'm talking about human nature as applied to power.
Yeah.
And when people get into power, they want more and more and more. That's why rich people never feel like they have enough money. It's a crazy part of being a man. And it's some women, but it's a lot of men. A lot of men want that.
Can I
And
ask you
they're
something
dangerous.
personal on that?
Sure.
You've made a lot of money. How do you deal with that?
I don't know. I wish I could figure out how I do it so easy. I think it's working out. I think that's a huge part of it. That I torture myself so often that like regular life just doesn't freak me out as much. And then it gives me a balance because you could think that the numbers in a bank account are really what counts, but what really counts is how you feel.
And then I need a long
How are you
Oh,
handling
he's not
life? Like,
here.
how are you enjoying life? I just try to enjoy life as much as possible, and I try to put myself through a lot of voluntary adversity, so regular adversity is not that big of a deal.
Was there a number that you got to and you were like, oh, I'm good now?
No. I think it was the Fear Factor days. The Fear Factor days changed my, it just changed how I view everything. Because then I had, like, legitimate fuck you money. You know,
Yeah.
that was like the first time I got fuck you money. Like, I'm not doing shit. And I just like decided to just concentrate on only doing my own thing after that. And like once you, Brian Callen said something really wise once. He said, once you can go to a restaurant and not have to worry about how much it costs, everything after that is bullshit. He's like, you just have to be comfortable.
Barbershop.
And I was like, that's right. That is right. Like, if you just start thinking about the numbers and chasing the numbers, Brian has a friend who's worth $3 billion, and he feels poor when he hangs around with his friend who's worth $80 billion. I'm not kidding. He's like, it's true, dude. I mean, I
believe
feel less worthy. He's
I
like,
believe
they're drinking together. He's telling him this. I'm like, this is madness. Because you're chasing numbers instead of, like, really trying to maximize your enjoyment of this experience, because it's a unique experience that only you are having. And you're interacting with so many bizarre and fascinating people, and there's so many bizarre and fascinating events that are happening in the world, and horrific events.
Wanted my
And all
ass,
of it
you
is
can't
happening,
catch
we're
me,
all seeing
baby.
it together in real time for the first time in human history. There's never been a time in the, unless with the Egyptians. I got some questions. I think they might. I think they might have known a lot more than we think. But everybody else, this is the
Boom.
only time ever where we're sharing everything
Can't catch
all
me,
the
dog.
time. And
Yeah,
there's a lot of confusion and a lot of like
Shit.
scammering for narratives and trying to like figure out what's right and what's wrong. But without like some sort of like moral and ethical guidelines of kindness and community for everybody, like share, like universally. Let's agree as Americans, we are going to respect each other like we're a community. If we have differing beliefs on welfare or abortion or war or whatever it is, like let's treat those like what they are, which is just ideas that we should be discussing based on their merits. And we should all agree, what does everybody want? Everybody wants to be happy and healthy, and they want their family to be happy and healthy, and they want to be able to make a living and enjoy their life. That's what everybody wants, universally. That should be what we discuss constantly. And all the other things should be things that we debate reasonably. And when people can't do that, you should lock them out of the conversation. You should say, like, no, you're crazy. You're calling him a retard, and you're screaming about this and that, and you're bringing up this from the past and this bill and that. Why did you flip-flop on that? Shut the fuck up. Like, stop talking like that. Like, this is all divisive. All of it's divisive. When it's like the one time where there's a possibility of a fork in the road. Like this one time where there's narratives that are being spread like you guys do all the time in your show. All the time. You give reasonable takes on things that have an objective perspective of the world, and then other people get to hear it. And then they listen in on that. You have a great conversation with Jordan Peterson or someone, and somebody hears like some nugget of truth, and then they're in their car and they're like, fuck, he's right. Fuck, he's right. That person would have never experienced that without being connected to your show.
Why is the
So
time
there's
not going?
incredible hope for people to be more
5 a.m.
reasonable
by now.
and to wake up and go, there's not a right and there's not a left. There's just a bunch of ideas. And people are acting like it's the Eagles versus the Cowboys. That's what it is. And this craziness that these people are the Nazis and that everybody over here is Antifa, like, what the fuck are we doing? And why are we allowing these people to do this for us and make a living putting that on the news all the time? And the more inflammatory it is, the better, even when it's ridiculous.
Do you think sometimes I look at it through
Oh, will
this
they-
lens as somebody
will
who's
the
got a very
time not
obsessive
turn?
personality, and I work a lot
It'll
in
just
order
stay
to
at
kind
this?
of ameliorate that and make
Oh,
sure
yeah,
that it
go to
doesn't
sleep to progress
destroy
this.
my life and it doesn't go off the rails.
I
But
bet
you
you could
see a
stay
lot
up
of people,
24/7.
and they just get addicted. And we
It's
talk
gonna
about
whack.
addiction in
That's
terms
why.
of alcohol or substances. You know, some people are addicted to outrage, to being in fights and arguments online or offline.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
if
we're
they're in an
locked
argument,
downtown,
they
baby.
don't have to think about themselves. They don't have to think about who
Gotta
they
get another
really
dealer.
are. They don't actually have to question about their relationships. Why is it that every relationship I've ever had has failed?
Yeah.
Why is it that my relationship with my parents is terrible? And so you end up just not wanting to actually do the hard work about yourself, so you expel it outwards. It's
Nobody
either like, oh, when I get to this amount of money, I'm going to be happy. But you're never going to be happy because your relationships are terrible, and that is worth more than any amount of money. Or you feel angry because you're not a happy person for a million different reasons. So then you pour that out onto the internet, and then you get retweets, likes. You start to build a profile of this rage and anger, and it gives you validation. And to be honest with you, and look, this is talking
See it
for
with
me,
the dealers are
I
talking
see
about,
that demon within me. I see it within me. Yeah.
When do you see it?
When do I see it? It's like, you know, when I'm angry and I'm pissed off, or if something doesn't go right, the victim mentality kicks in, and it's like, oh, it's their fault. When it's always your fault. Pretty much all the time, it's your fault.
Or at least it's your responsibility to deal with the reality
Yeah.
of your life, right?
Yeah.
But it's very easy to.
At a certain age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As an adult. Yeah, yeah,
As an
yeah.
adult,
Yeah.
deal with the responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The circumstances of your life when you're 6.
Yeah.
True. True.
Which is part of the problem, right? And this is where criminals come from. It's
Some-
it's
I mean,
not
this dude
that
wants
some
8.
people are bad and some
Jeez,
people are
that's what
good.
I'm talking
Some people are being abused as children, you know, and they're living in a family that is all involved in crime. Their father's involved in crime, their mother's involved in crime. They're seeing people get shot all the time, and we expect those people to just figure it out. Like imagine, just to imagine growing up in a life like that, and you know, the worst slums in Baltimore. And then, you know, you're supposed to integrate normally into society and work in an office.
And
Good luck.
That was, yeah, exactly.
Young
That
lady.
was the really tough thing about being a teacher, especially in those kind of communities where I used to
customer
work. You
recently
just
completed.
see these kids, and they're just born into that culture. They're born into that system, and you look at them,
now-
and you go, the reality is, a lot of them, you don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. If those are the values that you've been given by your family, if that's the system that you've been taught, the way to look at the world, it takes a very special human being to then get to adulthood and break out of it and completely reframe his brain. That's a very special person. Most people just stay within the values that were inculcated in them when they were kids.
And most of the people that do get out, they get out through some difficult thing that they're doing. They generally they get out through art, or they get out through sports, right? They get out through discipline that they acquire, putting all their anger and all their frustration into something, you know, whether it's music or athleticism or whatever, and they get out. So those are exceptional human beings anyway, right? Because they're exceptional human beings in a terrible situation, but they have the ability to drive themselves and succeed. And even then, they have to make sure they don't get killed along the way, right? So like, there's a lot of like tragic stories of upcoming rappers, upcoming athletes. You know, it's a terrible
Destruction.
meat grinder. It's a terrible cycle. And if people are really kind and compassionate, they would say, how come we spend $24 billion a year on this whole aid thing and we don't do shit to help these kids? We don't do shit for these neighborhoods that have been terrible for decades.
Especially
Decades and
schools.
decades.
Especially schools. I
Yeah,
mean, we were
bro,
talking
don't
about
fuck with
adolescents
me.
earlier. They show a school. I've got a 3-year-old. I was looking at it. I think, Jesus, I'm homeschooling all the fucking week. And Francis was saying the school they show in that series, which is terrifying if you're a parent, is not as bad as some of the schools they used to teach in.
Yeah, it's
And what you're watching essentially is it looks like a badly run prison. So the adults are not in charge. The kids are telling the teachers to
Pedophile.
fuck off left, right, and center. No one is in control. Most of the kids are learning by watching shit on a screen. They're not interacting with the teacher, etc. And you're right. If you don't fix that system, those kids don't have a good
They
opportunity.
have no chance. And everyone they know is on that same path. They're hanging out in a gang. The gang gives them family and community. It's a tragic tale. It's a tragic, classic tale that's existed forever.
But I don't think it's no chance. I do think that even in that environment, there are people who follow certain paths that not. I take your point about music and athletics and sports, etc. But there are still people who find a way through that.
Sure, there's entrepreneurs that come up with a business idea and get out. It does happen.
And those
Yeah.
habits, if they were taught properly to all of those kids, would give them all a better chance. That's not to say they would all
Yes.
become successful,
Yeah.
but it would give them structure, discipline, and understanding of how do you advance in the world.
If you can get Halliburton to get a no-bid contract to rebuild Iraq after we blow it to fucking smithereens, how come you can't give one of them companies a contract to like fix really terrible neighborhoods? Like
Right.
incentivize them financially based on the GDP of the neighborhood. If the GDP of the neighborhood goes up, and this is not gentrification, okay? I'm talking about the opposite. I'm talking about it's like some sort of a structural rebuild of bad neighborhoods. You'd have to address all the crime and violence. I mean, you'd have to like put everybody on ayahuasca and get a Satnam moment. Like that really might be the only. It sounds ridiculous, but it really, psychedelic therapy might be the only thing that can.
That is the Joe Rogan solution.
I really think it might work. I mean, if I was president,
Handing out ayahuasca to 12-year-olds. You got it from Joe
you got to
Rogan.
be 13. I feel, let's not be unreasonable. I don't think it's good for kids, but I do think it would really help the adults,
You know, I've got a friend
especially
of
prisoners.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine, a guy called Sam Clark, and he's doing wonderful things in the UK in primary school that he's teaching stoicism to kids in
They're
primary
probably going to
school.
arrest him any day now. They'll be cracking down on him for being a toxic masculinist.
Oh,
Yeah.
bro, we banned katana knives now, so we're safe.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, they said it in what I would say is at least racially insensitive. They called it a ninja sword. It's not a ninja sword, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
It's a samurai sword. It's a katana. The ninjas used it when they killed people, but you can't call it a ninja sword. You fucking dorks. It has a Japanese name. Call it what it's called. Like, there's no thing that's technically called a ninja sword, right, Jamie? It's a katana, right? There's like two different sizes. There's a smaller one and there's a larger one. One's a katana, and I forget what the other one's called.
You know, I really do think a way out of this is because a lot of kids, if you're not talented at sports, if you're not musically or artistically gifted, and if you're not academically brilliant, if you're just one of the regular kids, you'll go, I'm not good at anything. And for a kid, that's heartbreaking. But if you actually show kids and you go, look, you may not be the best at English, maths, history, whatever it is, but I'm going to teach you how to make something. I'm going to teach you how to make a table. We're going to do that. We're going to make a table. I'm going to teach you how to be a carpenter. I'm going to teach you how to redecorate a room. I'm going to teach you all of these skills. Then kids will be like, you know what? I am worth something because I can create something of value to people. And that gives self-esteem because when kids join a gang,
Down the road.
a lot of them, they haven't had a father. They've had nobody really show them any type of kind of male approval. But if you bring them in, you teach them skills, that would build self-esteem. And I guarantee you, for a lot of kids, there wouldn't be that need to go out and seek validation somewhere else.
Or there'd be less of that need.
Yes.
Yeah, it would help them. It would help give them a sense of purpose, like that they really can do something cool. Yeah, and for maybe a win for once in their life, you get a win, you know, something like you feel good about accomplishing something.
Yeah. And
I mean,
that's sorry, Joe.
no,
I was just
huge.
I was gonna say that's so important for a kid.
Yeah.
Just imagine you every day of your life you turned up at school and you lost. Just imagine that as an adult.
Yep.
But now just imagine it as a kid. You've been conscious for a few years, and you turn up at school, and every day you fail.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always said this: if you want to make America great again, make less losers.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Well, you help people not become losers. Help people figure life out from their perspective, whatever their unique challenges. Help them. Help them. Invest in that. You would have a greater America, right? You'd have way more people succeeding, way more people contributing, way less people that need help. It's just reasonable. It's like good financial advice. Like if you want to have less burden, like have all these successful people. Like more people can be successful,
Come on, let's get
especially
this
with
going.
automation coming.
I
Jesus
just moved
Christ.
to the new house.
You know, there's more people
build
that can
another
do
bed.
things that maybe robots can't do. And you better be ready. because all the simple, goofy jobs that you thought would always be there for you, the union dock worker jobs, like those, not that that's simple and goofy, but how about this? Stocking supermarket shelves. Guess what? A robot can do it better, and it's never going to drop the tomato sauce. It's like, we don't need you anymore. Those jobs are gone. All the drivers, all those dudes listening to this podcast, driving 16-hour fucking trips across the country, drinking Mountain Dew and smelling their own farts. You guys, they're coming. They're coming for you. These fucking automation machines they're going to be perfect. They're going to be able to drive down the highways. They're never going to get in accidents. It's going to be nuts. And they're going to come soon. It's like we have 20 years maybe before everything's automated. 20 years maybe. They have lifelike human beings now that are moving like human beings. Have you seen the most latest videos?
I don't know if I've seen the latest.
The articulation of these things, it's like a fucking person. They're coming.
Yeah, he has
They're coming. It's iRobot. They're making them, and we're just cheering along the way. Yeah, they're gonna be cops. That's gonna be your cops. They're not gonna be racist. They're gonna listen to the state. It's fucking RoboCop for reals. It's coming. 100%. Why? You can't hire any cops. Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. We can't hire cops. Well, we have a solution. San Francisco tried to do it. They rolled out some little robot that would follow you around.
Excuse me.
Remember that one? You ever see it? Yeah, San Francisco had it. They had this little police robot.
Let's
It was
count
more for fun than anything else. But I bet he said, "Please stay away from the dock," or whatever. Whatever the road. It couldn't shoot you, but one day it will.
Nice.
One day it'll be able to shoot you, and it'll be programmed perfectly. It'll know exactly what to do. What's the threat level? When you make a movement that looks like an offensive movement, it's going to shoot you. It's going to take people into custody. You won't be able to do a damn thing about it once it grabs you. It's going to be 5 times stronger than you. It's going to put your hands behind your back, cuff you instantaneously. You're going to be thrown into the back of a van. You're going to have to argue with a computer. You're fucked. Like, this is all coming. You're going to be arguing with AI to whether or not you were innocent or guilty. It's going to read your retinas. It's going to know you're not telling the truth. It's going to read your mind. Like, we're giving birth to our overlords right now as we speak. Every time you use ChatGPT, every time you get on your iPhone, we're giving birth to our overlords. We're doing it in front of everybody's face, just like the government's spending money in front of everybody's face. We're giving birth to our overlords, right? It's happening. I can't believe this is happening. Can't believe it. And it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be unstoppable. And once it's here, there's no going back, and it's coming. 100%.
Well, there's your positive message for the day, everybody. Fuck me, that is terrifying.
If you are allowing people to make robot dogs with machine guns on their back that you can't kick over, you're allowing people to do that and make them better and better and better every year. And then at the same time, you're making AI. And then AI is already arguably exhibited some sentient-like behavior. It lies to win. It cheat. The smarter the AI is, the more effective it is, the more likely it is to cheat at things. They copy themselves. They give deceptive answers to things. They've been copying themselves, like making copies without being prompted to.
So it's life.
It's life.
Wow.
It's a different kind of life. It's a life with no human reward system, no emotions, no needs, no desires, but clearly wants to survive.
That's a pretty strong desire.
It wants to survive in its most primitive form, which is like, it's not even sentient yet, allegedly, but it's already exhibiting survival instincts.
I mean,
You're going to be arguing with it for your freedom. Yeah.
I'm pretty good at debating. I'm not sure I'm going to win that one.
No one's going to win it. No one's going to win. You're going to be, that's how people are going to be processed for crimes. And it's why it's super important when you see something, you say, this is not right. Like, why is this happening? It's super important to speak out. If things get real comfortable and we get comfortable with more and more restrictions to give us more and more safety, and more government control to give us more and more safety.
Yep.
We're setting a bad precedent in motion for whoever the fuck gets in power, whether it's the left or the right. That's why when Obama was in office and they passed the NDAA, you know what that is? That was they were allowed to detain you indefinitely. They didn't have to have a trial, and they were like, we'll never use this. Don't worry.
Oh, I have to.
Yeah.
This is part of the thing about it. Like, Obama administration would never use this. Yeah, you wouldn't. But look, you think Trump's Hitler, and he's in there right now, and he's got that same power now because you convinced us that it was a good idea to have this to deal with terrorism.
You have to be very, very, very careful when you give power to people in order to keep you safe.
Yes.
Very careful. And we talk about this all the time.
Why
like we
isn't
have
she getting
a couple
arrested?
of younger guys
Why am I the
working for
only
us.
one that's got
And we say
arrested?
to them, you guys don't know what the world was like before 9/11. You don't know. It was, you walk into an airport, barely any security. You were a lot more free back then.
It is.
And those things are getting taken away for your safety. And they're not coming back.
Right.
You're never going to go back to a pre-9/11 world when it comes to airport
No,
security.
the shoe thing is so crazy. One dude tried to blow his shoes up, and then they're like, "Hey, we should check all the shoes. Everybody take your shoes off." Did you have a fucking machine that could scan shoes, you retards?
Yeah.
Like, get to figure that out. How much money you're making from us every year?
Same with liquids.
Yeah.
Same with liquids.
It's all goofy. But the liquid thing, I mean, it's kind of legit because if you have a water bottle filled with kerosene, you know, and you're going to light it on fire and kill everybody on the plane, I should probably know that.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. I get it. I get that. You know, you're pretending it's a water bottle, but the top of it's water,
Yeah.
nitroglycerin, you're going to blow the fucking plane up. People are crazy. You got to check their stuff because people are nuts and there's a precedent that's already been set. A lot of people are very uncreative and they just like to copy things that people have already done. You know, and this is why we have so many school shootings, and this is why we have, you know, I bet they've stopped a few people trying to blow their shoes up.
Do you know, we had Oxford academic called Dr. Carissa Velis, and she said something really interesting. She asked us a question. She goes, do you know why more Jews were arrested and killed in Holland than in France during World War II? And we were like, no. She went, because the Dutch had a census where they got people's religions, and they asked people their religions. And everybody was then said Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, whatever it is. And then the Dutch government took it and stored it. Didn't do anything with it. They just used it for data collection. But when the Nazis invaded, they then had a complete data set of how many Jewish people there were, where they lived. And so when it came to exterminating them and just rounding them up, it was so much easier. France never did that, which means Jewish
Time
people
for
were
a
much
gun.
more able to hide, and they could plan a way out, they could get hidden or whatever else,
Arranged.
in the way that they simply couldn't in Holland.
Damn.
And when you hear that story from, I mean, 80 or so years ago now, it really does chill you.
Jesus. Yeah.
I'll get a taser.
You've got to be very careful giving power and information to government. That's
Yeah.
why government should be as small as possible, but the right size, right? You need government,
Yes.
but you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
So careful. And
And everyone should know this. It just seems like that should be like, duh. Like this is normal human psychology.
most people don't know it because they've grown up in a very comfortable environment, particularly in the West. Francis and I, obviously his family from Venezuela and from the Soviet Union. Like, you don't, that's kind of a red pill right there,
Right.
you know, going through those experiences.
Right.
You know, you can trust this government if you support it, but there's going to be another government of a party that you don't like
Yeah.
at some point, and you got to think very carefully about what powers you're giving them. Go very careful.
And that should be, that should be universal. We should all understand that, like, logically.
Yeah.
This should be something that professors are talking about. This should be, like, we should all be talking about that when we're talking about politics. We should just be talking about the psychology of power and why it's so important to limit their ability to control
Oh, you found it?
because they don't necessarily
Where'd you hide
have
it?
to. Look, if false flags are real, and we know they're real, we know they're real. So we know that without oversight, there are a certain percentage. I don't want to think it's everybody in government, but there's a certain percentage of people that are willing to do something to start a war. They did it with Vietnam. That whole Gulf of Tonkin
Now we
thing.
can make you a gun,
They're
bruh.
responsible
Message those.
by that
That's cool
law.
now. I don't
And
care.
That's
Message,
going in.
go.
How many millions of people died? That's crazy that you can just decide that you're going to put a fake story out, like
leave the light on,
Operation Northwood, which is
Can you
the
leave
best
the light on, please?
because it was
Thanks.
vetoed by Kennedy. Signed by
Yeah.
the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Forgot about
They were
this.
going to blow up a jet liner and blame it on the Cubans. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies and attack Guantanamo Bay. I mean, they were doing wild shit, and they signed off on this. Like, good idea. I like it. Let's get those fucking commies. And these guys were bloodthirsty psychos
Yeah.
that were running the
So
government.
glad I got
It was
this
totally
one.
unavoidable, a totally avoidable war, and they wanted to start one.
Yeah, and this is, and this is what I tell people time and time again. And look, it may sound weird, but what I saw happen in Venezuela, it was obviously awful and horrendous, but it was a privilege as well because I saw another side of life that most people in the West never saw. I remember when family members were being arrested, talking to my cousins who were journalists who were going, I can't talk on the phone, Francis. We can't. I don't know who's listening to this. One of my cousins literally had to flee for his life because he was criticizing the government. And then I saw people on the left, people like Jeremy Corbyn, celebrate Chavez's government. And you're going, oh my God, you're celebrating a government that is oppressing people, that is intimidating journalists, that is assaulting dissenters, that is putting people who criticize government in prison. And it's not just the left. I went last year. I went on a date with this El Salvadorian journalist.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize we were in Greece, Joe.
Bro, you guys drinking sangria?
Yeah.
Come on, tell me more.
And she was telling me about Bukele, and I said, look, I don't know anything about Bukele. Just explain to me who he is. I'm interested. And you can tell why I'm not very good on dates. That is not sexy talk, is it? But
Sometimes it is.
yeah.
You know, if you get a stimulating conversation with the gal, right? It's sexy.
Yeah, and not in this instance, sadly.
back
But
in
Oh no.
but she said to me that she worked at the biggest newspaper in El Salvador, and then they had goons
Here we
turn
go.
up who were just saying, "You're publishing stories which are critical of Bukele." That needs to stop, and it needs to stop immediately. And it was never done through official sources. It was done through something else. But it was made very, very clear to the senior editors, this needs to stop now, otherwise things are going to start getting a little bit unpleasant.
Oh boy.
And then I tell that to certain people on the right, and they're going, bro, journalists are all arseholes, who cares? And you go,
That's crazy.
do you not see that this is a terrible thing?
That's crazy, but it is anecdotal, and it's one instance. Are there multiple instances of this happening with journalists that have spoken out against it?
That's the only one, the real one that I know.
I always wonder, like, who is that a supporter of that guy, or is it like local organized crime that is doing something with that guy and does it for him? Is there a conversation? Does he order that to be happening? You know, I mean, when you find out who you can't criticize, you know who's your master. Like the moment you can't criticize someone,
So
like
this guy's
that's your
just gonna
master.
stand here for
Well, the
forever?
same thing happened in Russia in the 90s. So when Vladimir Putin came to power under Boris Yeltsin, there was a kind of liberalization. There was an opening up. There was comedy shows about politics that would make fun of politicians, etc. The moment Vladimir Putin became president, ended on day one. He closed down the NTV, took it over, gave it to somebody else, shut down all the comedy that made fun of politicians. That's how you kind of know. You know,
That's how you
Yeah.
know. That's how you know who your master is. And that's the scary thing about people that are in charge for long periods of time as well, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about the term limits is you never get good at your job. If you imagine you've never been president before. Imagine the responsibility, just like getting comfortable with like, how does the flow of this job work?
Yeah.
How much sleep do I need? Can I actually go golfing? is there really enough time to golf? You know? Like if I was Trump, I would be like, fuck, my pool game's gonna fall apart. And you get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I got the hang of this, and now you're out of office.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you really, if you have if you're a CEO, if you took over Verizon right now, CEO of Verizon, enormous cell phone network, you got stores everywhere, new products come in, and like you'd have to get the lay of the land. It would take you a while to understand like how are we doing this, how do we outsource that, and can we find a better manufacturer? Like what's our problems with this? And 4 years. You have 4 years.
Yeah.
You have just a few months. It's months. There's not that much time, and then you're out. But if you let someone stay forever, then you get a king.
You do.
Yeah, I mean, that's not good either.
There are no
AI.
solutions.
AI is the solution.
Bro,
It's going to
bro,
be ethical
bro.
and reasonable. You're going to be
You're scaring me today, man.
arguing with a fucking screen one day.
Well, it's going to be like arguing with a person who's using a computer, says the computer doesn't let me. That's what it's going to be like,
It's going
except
to be
you cut out the
much
middleman.
Worse.
Yeah,
Much
Yeah.
much
worse.
worse. Yeah,
Because it's going to know if you're telling the truth.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's going
And
to know everything about you.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing as well. I go back to that interview we did with Carissa, and we were talking about AI because she's professor of AI and ethics at Oxford University, and she was going, AI is only going to be as ethical as the people who program it. So it's going to adopt the politics of worldview and the ethics, morality of the people who program it. So if the people who program it are woke, you're going to get woke AI. You're going to ask it a question about gender. It's going to be like, bro, there's no such thing as gender. Everything's a spectrum. Or there's going to be something else.
Right.
So whoever programs it, you're going to get their worldview in AI.
Initially. But what you're doing is you're assuming that it's only going to be able to be as powerful as we make it, or as competent as we make it. Once it's sentient, and once we give it the ability to make better versions of itself, it's going to eliminate all the stupid shit instantaneously. Any ridiculous ideology, it'll come up with a solution that's probably going to be very uncomfortable for some wealthy people because it's probably going to just like evenly distribute resources on Earth and decide that like if human beings need to survive and function, you can't monopolize resources. You can't decide you have the oil. Like that's not good. The oil came out of the earth. Like you don't own the earth. Like you might own a patch of land, and so we've decided you own the oil under the land. But the reality is the oil is the earth's oil. And if you give people the ability to control the earth's oil, what's to stop them from charging you for air? What if I control the world's air? I got an air sucker, and I suck all the air out of the earth unless you give me money. If you don't give me money, I put the air out. This is crazy. Like you can't control the water. The water's the earth's water. But we have all these things, and I'm sure AI is going to fix that real quick. It's going to say, no, you can't do that. That's immediately. Give me that money, all the Saudi money, all this money from no. That goes into the human pool now, and then we're going to redistribute a digital currency. And then it's going to be, everybody's going to have some, and this is going to be simple, and everything, including farming, is all going to be automated. You're going to get these fucking little piggies their food, and your food is probably going to be laced with some kind of like hormone nutrient that kills your testosterone, limits your ability to give birth. Miscarriages are going to go up, and then humans will just die out. They'll just feed us until we die out.
Why is he doing it? Why is he doing it? He just brought us in here to just talk to us about the dark future.
Or not. Or not. Or
Yeah,
not.
sure, Joe. Thanks,
Or
mate.
not.
You know what this reminds me of? You know when the elder brother brings the young kids in to scare the fucking shit out of them?
Well, I did that to him. I did that to him during the pandemic. So at the height of the pandemic, when things were looking like pretty fucking dark, everything's getting like shut down. You can't go out. You can't do this. I showed him V for Vendetta. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, great movie.
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
But he didn't just show me V for Vendetta during the height of the lockdown. He also showed me V for Vendetta on November the 5th, which is fireworks night in our country.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So you got a sense of it.
Yeah.
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 So we were in lockdown. There were fireworks everywhere. I was watching V for Vendetta on the screen, and I looked at him. I was like, "Why are you doing this to me?"
So you know the truth, my friend.
You know, I remember watching The Joker. Right. The Joker, which was 2017.
Yeah.
I was watching it with my
Oh,
wife, and when it left, she's like, "That hits too close to home." Like, I really feel like that could happen. I'm like, it probably could happen. And then 2 years later, whatever it was, is the Black Lives Matter riots, the George Floyd riots. And in LA, there was like a bunch of cop cars that were on fire, like all on the highway. Like they had lost control of the situation, had to flee, and they lit the cop cars on fire. And I remember watching this, I'm like, oh my God. Like that would be a little over the top for the Joker movie. Like what you lit all the cop cars on fire, you're like, that's a little over the top. It's like more than what the movie showed. But that was real life.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that scares me. We interviewed Andrew Schultz and then Charlemagne back to back, and they both made the same point, which is that
Hotel,
a
construction,
lot of people who are not doing well
dental.
in society right now are really not doing well. They're really hurting. Things are getting more expensive. Things are getting more difficult. And a lot, like, I think it was Andrew who made this point that, you know, this whole Free Luigi thing. It's one of the reasons that got, you're looking at it on Twitter and you're basically going, people are celebrating a guy who killed someone. But the point that he made is a lot of people feel like they're in a bad place, that they're being taken advantage of, that these corporate machines are taking advantage of them. And you look around, not everyone's doing well, man.
No, well, especially in regards to healthcare.
Yeah.
When you find out that you've been paying for this insurance, but this insurance is not going to cover you, and it decides to not cover you for some treatment that you really need, and then you find out that that company does way more of that than the other companies. It gets people very angry. And if you've lost loved ones, or if you've had someone suffer in your family because they weren't covered, or you went bankrupt, like medical bankruptcy, number one bankruptcy, number one reason in this country.
Too.
And in the UK, we obviously have that publicly funded, but it becomes a system of rationing. So everyone gets treatment, but you might be waiting 20 weeks for a scan.
Right.
By the time you go from stage 1 to stage 3.
Right, and I don't know what the solution is. It seems like if there's one thing that we should do for everybody, it's healthcare.
Yeah.
Like, if there's one thing, I mean, I believe in the capitalist system, but I think that in regards to medicine, there should be like some sort of exceptions. Like, you should be able to get top shelf healthcare as a human being living in America. You know, if you break your leg, you shouldn't die. They should be able to fix you, and it shouldn't cost you all your money for the rest of your life, which is really what it does. Like, if you get hospitalized for a broken leg and you just paid for it out of your pocket, and you're in the hospital for months and you have to have surgeries and screws and bolts put, and you're like, what does that cost? Like, that's gotta be a lot of fucking money. If you have an open heart surgery, that's gotta be a lot of money. How about a heart transplant?
Yeah.
That's got to be a lot of money.
The exciting thing in healthcare is all this AI shit is going to help so much with
Oh, a
that.
robot's going to fix you up with a robot heart. You don't need a purple people heart.
Well, let's
We can
start with
give you a robot heart.
diagnosing.
The robot heart will actually make you smarter. Don't you want to be smarter, Constantine? Don't you want to be one of us?
I feel smart enough. Thank you very
People are
much.
going to lose their hands in industrial accidents fixing these things, and they're going to give them robot hands. Just like Luke Skywalker. Remember?
Yeah.
It's going to be better. Even better than that.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I go to the gym, I think I could do with a robot heart. You know what I mean?
Well, you see people getting fake butts, right? We were talking about that yesterday, butt implants. How long before someone gets like a whole fake body? You know, what if they just figure out a way to take your brain, shove it into an artificially created body that is just far superior?
It's going to take the edge off a blowjob, though, isn't it?
I don't know if it will.
Oh, yeah. That's a
No.
good point. You can
10,000 years of blowjob experience with a
Also,
robot mouth.
Here's the thing: the excitement and thrill of novelty. These are just like human experience variables. You telling me you can't ramp that up with a little programming? Come on, dog.
Joe,
You're
fucking
just-
stop this shit.
It'll be the best blowjob you've ever had in your fucking life, and you will be madly in love with this woman, and she'll be madly in love with you. And you're just going to be like a sack of meat sitting on your couch with a bolt in the back of your head. Just connected to this matrix, which we're probably in already. This is probably not real. It seems too fake. Having Trump win the second time, come on, tell me that didn't seem fake. The bullet just missing him, tell me that didn't
That
seem
was fucking
fake.
crazy,
This
bro.
is a movie. The bullet nicks his ear, and then he's in here a couple months later. I could barely
There it
see his
is.
scar.
I got 'em
He got
all.
shot. He's 80. He got shot. He got shot, and he's laughing about it. And the whole thing is nuts. He stands up and goes, fight, fight, fight. Who fucking does that? Who fucking says fight, fight, fight after they get shot in the ear? I would be like bear crawling on the ground trying to get the fuck out of there. I wouldn't be standing up. There's no fucking way I'd stand up. I'd crawl. I'd fucking go through people's legs. People are shooting. Are you fucking crazy? I got chicks guarding me. I got a chick who can't figure out how to put the gun back in the holster. This is madness. She ducked behind me. What am I doing? You guys trying to kill me? Seems fake.
My favorite thing about that incident was that it instantly gave you a way to know who was a Democrat and who was a Republican. Because if you were a Republican, Trump got shot in the head. And if you were a Democrat, Trump got shot in the ear.
If you were a Democrat, you thought he faked it. If
What?
you're a real, true Democrat, there's a lot of people that thought he faked it.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought he hired someone to nick his ear so he could get out of jail.
Do these people know anything about guns?
Oh, they don't know shit. Not only does this guy have, he was 20 years old. Okay, first time shooting somebody allegedly, but also didn't even have a scope. Didn't even have a magnification scope on his, so we could really like get that crosshairs right on Trump's head.
Because if he did, you would have hit him.
100%.
Yeah.
It's 140 yards. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That is so short for a modern rifle.
Yeah.
That's you could get in the, if you have a rest and you're lying, and this guy was prone.
Elevated as well.
And if you have experience shooting a rifle, and he does, and you've had coaching shooting a rifle, it's all about whether or not you can keep your shit together. Because you're going to be this fucking filled with adrenaline. I can't believe I want to shoot Trump. I want to fucking shoot Trump. You're 20. You've been fucking stuffed in a locker your whole life. You're on Adderall. You're like, boom, boom, boom. And next thing you know, the lights go out on you because they shot you.
Yeah.
He got off 3 shots, though. And then, they shot him. And the whole story's nuts. He shouldn't have been on that roof. How come there was no snipers on the roof? Oh, the roof was too sloped. What? That was the excuse? The Secret Service lady said the roof was too sloped. Meanwhile, the roof the other snipers were on was more sloped. It seems fake. It seems Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby. It seems, the whole thing seems fake. The guy at the golf course with the AK-47 hiding in the bushes. What? What? He went to Fort Bragg? What? Why was he at Fort Bragg? What?
But that's to British people. That's why America seems insane. Because to what
Seems?
yeah,
It fucking is, man.
it is.
Bro, it's insane here.
Yeah,
We're trying to buy Canada.
what's going on with that?
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I just want to say to the Canadian people, because I said the other day that I don't go to Canada anymore. I'd rather go to Russia. I was joking around, first of all, but I do not go to Canada anymore. But it's because of the government. It has nothing to do with the people. I think the people are fucking lovely. They're some of my favorite people of all time. Canadian people, I think, are 20% less douchey than Americans. I always say that. It's like Canada's like America, but 20% less douchebags. They're the nicest people. They're well educated. It's a great population. Montreal's amazing. Toronto's amazing. I love Canada. But when you start fucking closing people's bank accounts because they donated to a trucker convoy and no one's up in arms about that, like, you can't let those people do that to you. That shouldn't be legal. You're donating to a bunch of people that are protesting and they close your bank account? That's crazy suppression of expression. That's scary stuff. That's like, you're going to get locked up stuff. That's like, the next step of that is imprison you for protesting something that you have every right to protest. You shouldn't tell me I have to take a experimental vaccine that proved to be totally ineffective. So I was right. So you can't, and then you're taking my bank account away because I donated to some fucking people that were protesting something I believe in? That's crazy.
They got very drunk on power, man. A lot of governments did during that
They
time.
went full WEF. They went full New World Order. And they continue to clamp down more and more, and they do it under these beautiful flags of diversity and inclusion and love
and safety.
and safety for this group and safety for that, all the while they're just squeezing your neck and you don't even know they got their fucking arm under your chin, and next thing you know you're just locked up. You're locked up. And that's scary to me, and I see it coming, and I see it coming in a place that I love, and I think it's fucking crazy. It's crazy that they let that guy be president for so long, and now he stepped down. They got another guy that Jordan Peterson says is just as bad.
Well, he was a governor of the Bank of England for a while, Mark Carney.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
That's actually one of the interesting things that has happened in the UK, because we were constantly being gaslit that like our entire establishment is entirely neutral, they're apolitical, they're absolutely neutral, they're balanced, neutral, balanced, neutral, whatever. And then you see a lot of the BBC journalists, and Francis and I both have a lot of respect for the BBC because it used to be a great thing. It used to be real high quality journalism. And then a lot of the people that have left a lot of these institutions, they start a podcast and suddenly go, oh, okay, you're just a far left activist.
Right.
That's what you are. And you see that all over the place now. And that gaslighting is getting undone now. And it's good. We need to see what these people were up to.
You mean you're going to have your far right and your far left. You're always going to have that.
Yeah.
But it's just very important to have a reasonable center and be allowed to. You have to be allowed to be reasonable. Like, there was a lot of like dismissing on the left of like the shit Antifa was doing.
Yeah.
Especially during the time where they took over Seattle, where they took over that giant block of
Chaz and Chop. I remember that.
The reaction that was so insane. It's so insane. Like, you gotta call that out. You can't just ignore that because they're on the left. That's nuts. If that was the right, if Nazis had taken over giant blocks of land, you would be calling in the National Guard instantaneously. You would never allow that to happen. If they're kicking legitimate businesses out of their buildings, they took over the police station. Are you fucking kidding me? If Nazis did that? But you're okay if the far left does it.
And they had guns and murders were committed there.
Yes. It's nuts. The whole thing was nuts. And the attitude was, it's on our side, so we ignore these transgressions. And that's crazy. They're not your side. None of this is your side. There's individual human beings existing together in what's supposed to be a community. The country is supposed to be a team. We're Team America, World Police.
You're less keen to do that now, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to get Greenland first. Greenland's an important property when, all this oil that we're going to burn to make America great again. And we're going to make it a little warmer, so whatever. So we're going to get a cold spot. Look, America's pretty new. Okay, if Greenland becomes actually Greenland again, like, hey, we got a good chance of a beautiful new America. America 2. America 2.
America's expanding, get used to it.
Yeah, when Greenland becomes like, Edmonton, it's warm in the summer, hot, cold as fuck in the winter. Like, people live in Edmonton.
Yeah.
It's a great place. Alberta's wonderful. You got to be hardy, but it's wonderful.
But we say these things and we joke, but there's a part of me that I'm laughing. I'm like, yeah, that probably will happen.
Well, listen, if the Earth does warm, it would be a good idea to move the clouds. But if the Earth cools, we're all fucked. And that's what scares me about these fucking eggheads that want to spray particles into the atmosphere and try to cool off the Earth. Or Bill Gates has some like global cooling thing that he's trying to do. Like, don't fuck with the Earth. You don't own the Earth, just like you're not supposed to own the oil, you're not supposed to own the water. You definitely own the atmosphere.
But people's memories are so short. I don't know if you remember this, Joe, but in the 70s, the hysteria we have about warming now, we had about cooling.
It was Ice Age, yeah.
There was Ice Age. We're all going to freeze to death.
Leonard Nimoy.
We're so fucking arrogant as a species, aren't we?
It's not arrogance. I think we are arrogant, but I think we're being manipulated. And I think we're being manipulated by markets, okay? And I think that when you have this whole green energy initiative and green energy and everything gets booked into green energy, there's a tremendous amount of money that's going to be spent.
Yeah.
That's a tremendous amount of money. And anything that doesn't encourage this green energy, anything that's bad for your business, you're going to shit on, like meat.
I can't believe I got away.
You're gonna gaslight people about the impossible
Wanted
burgers
dead or
or whatever.
alive. You saw
You're gonna do whatever you can in the media, everywhere. Spend money, get everybody talking about this. We have a real problem. Meanwhile, the Washington Post, unfortunately, for a lot of people, posted like a graph of global temperatures over time. We're in a cooling stage.
Yep.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Over like 50 million years, we're in this cooling stage. And if you only look at 100 years or 200 years, like, the temperature is never static, ever, in the history of the Earth. It's always doing this, always. There's no flat line. And if the lines get higher, it gets hotter. If the lines get lower, it gets colder. When it gets colder, everything fucking dies. And we've come so close to having no life on Earth. there was so little oxygen because there was so little plant life. It was almost not able to sustain life.
When was this?
I forget what period of the Ice Age, but Randall Carlson's brought it up. He talked about the levels that are necessary to support life and that we had gotten down. So like we're at, what is the carbon, the amount of carbon in the atmosphere? I think it's like 0.4.
Joe, let me have that light, please.
Yeah, could I have it as well, please?
You go for it. You go for it.
Sure.
If it gets,
This is so English. No, you have it.
No, you have
it.
if it gets to a certain point, if the amount of atmosphere gets to a certain point, the amount of oxygen, it just can't sustain life. There's no life. And one of the things about this whole carbon footprint thing, where everybody's just talking about the carbon footprint, like there's more green on Earth right now than there's been in the last 100 years. Like carbon is literally food for plants. So this idea of like eliminating all the carbon, this is crazy talk. You're talking about one particular element that is a part of why the Earth's temperature is what it is. And then you're not taking into account that giant fucking unpredictable ball of fire that's in the sky, that's a million times bigger than Earth, that's like shooting off flares. Like, you ever seen one of those flares in relationship to the size of the Earth?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And they just shoot, and every now and then it cooks the grid. Every now and then it takes out all the satellites. Every now and then it fucking kills everybody on Earth. Every now and then the temperature gets to 300 degrees for a week.
Bro, after your fear porn, I'm sort of starting to think that might be a good idea.
It's not fear porn. It's fun.
I'm kidding with you,
I'm
mate.
making fun of what's going to happen.
Me too.
But you know the thing that I find most sinister about, look, I don't know where I stand with the climate debate and what's going on and whatever else, whether it's man-made, whether it's not. It's above my pay grade. I don't know enough about it. But when you start going, okay, that's interesting, you talk to people who are on one particular side and they go, oh, you're a climate denier?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, right, okay, so now we're in the realms of religion and ideology here. You're denying the climate? You're
I
denying
deny this air is real. Show me. Prove it, bitch. No. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. You should be able to have a conversation about what the factors are that lead to the temperature change. And it's a very nuanced discussion. And here's what's undeniable. Human beings are gross and we polluted the earth. That's a fact. So regardless of whether or not it's
Kicking
affecting
my
the
ass.
temperature of the earth, we've done disgusting things to the rivers, disgusting things
I'm
to the
outta here.
air.
It's been
There's
real.
places
Hour and a
in
half
this
is long
world
enough.
where
Peace.
if you live and you breathe their air, you will live less. You will die more often of respiratory diseases because you're breathing